How are you?
Okay, are you?
Good, thanks. Hey, Glenn.
You see this happen? It did happen. Let's see how it goes. That's a good night.
Okay, I'll call this meeting to order for Board of Selectmen at 7:03 for September 5th, 2019.
Want to come down?
Not right now, it's Pledge Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Charlie's on his way, Steve's sick, so I couldn't. Any agenda items that you'd like to add? Okay. I move we approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second? Hey, Ian. What? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Jason? Aye. Okay. Approval of minutes. I move to approve the special meeting minutes of August 12th, 2019. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I move to approve the regular meeting minutes of August 15th, 2019.
I have a question on those. It isn't accuracy or anything, but on page 20, Charlie brought up an important point. We were talking about businesses in town.
Yes.
The top paragraph, he suggested that we reach out to the businesses in town and contact them and talk to them about, what's good, what's bad, what we can do to improve our relationship with the businesses. I think that's a good idea.
Yes.
When I was on the Economic Development Commission a bunch of years ago, I did that and talked to 20 companies. I was really pleasantly surprised. The companies almost universally liked being here in town. But I think that we should do that. We should reach out. And the Economic Development Commission is probably a logical place to come from. But I'm concerned because there are only 3 members on that commission right now, and I don't think they have the ability to do that. What do you suggest if we do? It's an issue that I think we shouldn't just let die.
What should we do? I would say, I agree with you that it should be done. I agree that it should be the Economic Development Commission. When I leave, which is going to be in November, I think I'd like to join the Economic Development Commission.
Yeah.
So maybe we can revive it then. I don't see between now and November doing very much.
Would it be reasonable to consider having the board invite a half a dozen companies at random to come in and talk to us at, I don't know, as part of a regular meeting, as part of a special meeting, just to engage that part of our community?
We could look into that. Yes, that's a good idea.
In the interim, until the Economic Development Commission grows stronger and we find somebody willing to do that, I created probably a 30-question questionnaire just so that when I went out and talked to the people, I would have consistent questions that you can compare the answers to. And some were very simple. Some were, who's the boss man? Who's the contact person? What's their telephone number? What's the what is their email address? And it got to other more important questions that were not just bookkeeping. They were what do you see as the pros and cons of living here in East Windsor as an industrial partner? That list is on my computer, and I'd be more than happy to give it to anybody that wants it as a starting point.
Okay.
Other than that, I think I'll second the, after all of that, I'll second the
minutes.
motion to approve.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, is there any communications? I have none.
There was one in our packet from Barbara Sherman. Did you want to do that under the charter?
We can do it now.
Do you want to read it?
I don't believe I have it with, well, it's in the package. But go ahead, you can read it.
So stated, received August 14th, addressed to Mr. Robert Maynard, First Selectman. Dear Bob, please thank the members of the Charter Revision Committee for their time and efforts in attempting to revise the Town of East Windsor Charter. However, I wish to ask that you vote against these suggestions. Too much was attempted, yet too much was not addressed. At the least, we need to wait until after the elections and start with our new slate. Thank you for your attention to my request. Sincerely, Barbara Sherman.
Okay, thank you. Further communication? Okay, public participation. Is there any public participation? Paul?
Yeah, you're going to do some reappointments tonight. I'd like to comment on
Sure.
a few of them. Jason Bowser, pension and retirement board, he's done an excellent job. I'd like to see him continue.
Thanks, Paul.
John Burnham, Housing Authority, he's done an excellent job. I'd like to see him continue. John Mazza has been a real asset at the WPCA. I certainly would like to see him continue. And Joe Roulette, I think, has done a very good job with planning and zoning. So I would like to see that continue. End of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Marie D'Souza, 10 Race Road, Forever. I also want to speak on the reappointments. Jason Balza on the Pension and Retirement Board. I agree does an excellent job. And being chairman of that position. And John Burnham, I currently sit with him and have for several years on the Housing Authority, and he's a great asset on the Housing Authority, so I hope you reappoint him. As to the others, I know Joseph Ouellette's been on the planning and zoning for a long time, and I haven't heard anything negative. I don't know Ian or Sue, so I can't comment. But we need volunteers in town, and whenever I see a new face coming out, it's always encouraging, so thank you for submitting your names. I had submitted a formal complaint to First Selectmen about 2 months ago regarding the actions of one of these selectmen up here. I did receive a response in writing from Bob at the last meeting that I attended for the Board of Selectmen, and it did not address any of the issues whatsoever that were mentioned in my letter. But yet, we had no problem as First Selectman in the board to put out through the JI negativity for one member that placed money on the table and turned it into something that wasn't there. Hit the newspaper twice. I'm not looking for the newspaper to be here, but I'm looking for the First Selectman to take proper action on the behavior of that select person and get back to me at his time. Thank you.
I guess I wrote this thing up a while back, and I'll read what I wrote. I said, you're all aware that there's cameras in this room, and they are recording what is said and done. Not only are they recording what is said and done, but what is happening here is streamed live on YouTube and is available to public to view at their leisure. I believe the Board of Education meetings and the Police Commission meetings should also be streamed and made available on their websites. But for another reason, the cameras change the dynamics of the meeting. People now can attend the meetings and during public participation reach a larger audience. That is good. People are using this to their, but some people are using it to their advantage. Some things people say are true, some things are misleading, some things people say are probably should not be said. I have a little control over what people say. I do, and what I say and do in this room, I do have control over what I say. So I'm going to do what I think I should do. I'm going to say and do what I believe I should be said and should be done. So what I'm saying is people are using this to reach an audience, and I understand that. And that's a thing, just like the Facebook reaches a large audience. So it's okay, but I don't take what is said on the Facebook is not necessarily true. And I think we're in a world now where you have to look at things closely, and some things are misleading, some things are not fact. You have to make these determinations for yourself. So further public participation, yes.
Bill Lose, Melrose Road. I understand that our chairman of the police commission hired Pullman and Colony to research and draft a proposal of things that he found about the changes. And I'd like a copy of that proposal, that draft of that proposal that he wrote, the opinion that he wrote on it. And it was a cost of $315 an hour for a total cost of $4,473. And at that, I'd like as a citizen, I'd like a copy of that report. As a member, former member of the Charter Revision Commission. Thank you.
I've asked Bob, or I've asked the chairman of the police commission for that information also.
Okay.
He's not given it to me, so Monday we'll look into it further. Maybe Friday. Further public participation. Yes, Glenn.
Glenn Reichley, 27 Harrington Road. I'm here about the farm leases, and we met the other night on the Ag Commission, and we were just handed the leases. We didn't get to go through them. We're missing a couple of the members, and we asked for a special meeting next Tuesday for us to look the information over, and I don't know if that came up in front of you guys already, because I know it's a time-sensitive issue, but we just got it. And we did ask for that extension, and we're going to meet Tuesday before your next meeting to weigh in on some of the things that they want to change in there if we can.
I did. Peg actually sent me an email. I got it today.
Okay.
And said the same thing you did. And that's fine. I'm glad you contacted, glad you came.
Yeah, well.
And we certainly will wait. But again, like you say, time is an essence.
Right.
So when you guys get through, let me know what you said next week.
Absolutely.
And then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
I'd like to get it, now I have it on the agenda too. I'd like to get it out the week of the September 16th, sometime in that time frame.
That's why we didn't have enough members, and we just got it, and we just figured that if we got it in before your next Board of Selectmen's meeting, we'd just appreciate that.
Okay, sure, that's great.
Thank you.
Ron, can I assist you?
Yes.
You do have a meeting on Tuesday night. Okay?
Right.
You're all set. You're going to be meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, further public participation. All right, moving on. Boards and commissions. I move to reappoint Jason Bauza to the Pension and Retirement Board as a regular member for a term expiring October 31st, 2023.
I'll second that.
All right, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Somebody else?
I'm going to abstain.
Does somebody else want to do all these motions?
I move to appoint John Burnham as a regular member to the East Windsor Housing Authority for a term expiring September 1st, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I do. It's incidental, but why is the pension board 4 years and the rest of them 5?
As a point of clarity, probably, my appointment to that probably isn't even that long, because I'm sitting there as a member of the Board of Selectmen, so it's likely to expire
But
before.
why should it be different from one commission to
Oh,
another?
and 5 years seems unusual.
That's many terms from now.
So I should take,
If you want to do it longer, I'll agree to do it
No,
longer.
it doesn't make any difference. It's just I wondered why one board would be different than others. On the Economic Development Commission, which is the one I served on most recently, it was 5 years also.
okay.
No big deal, just a question.
Well, okay, we'll make the continued appointments then.
Second, have a vote.
Oh, yes,
Was there a second?
Yes.
Shall
for John Byrne. All those in favor?
Aye.
I move to appoint Ann Gobin as an alternate member of the Planning and Zoning Commission for a term expiring October 1st, 2024.
Second.
Discussion?
I would just say that Ann has, for many years, worked at DEP, and that she's willing to lend what would undoubtedly be her professional experience to one of our local land use boards. I think is an absolute gift.
Thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I move to reappoint John Massa to the Water Pollution Control Authority as a regular member for a term expiring October 1st, 2024.
Second.
Discussion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I move to reappoint Joe Olet to the Planning and Zoning Commission as a regular member for a term expiring October 1st, 2023.
Second.
Okay. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I move to reappoint Susie Taylor to the Parks and Recreation Commission as a regular member for a term expiring October 1st, 2024.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Okay. I move to appoint Irma Capiteo to the...
Emma Capitale.
Emma, what did I say? Anyway, Emma Capiteo to the Beautification Committee as a regular member for a term expiring May 1st, 2020.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unfinished business. First is the charter revision. And what I put on the table and what I left in front of you is the legal notice. And that will appear in tomorrow's JI. And what is basically on that legal notice is the questions that will be on the November 5th ballot. And there's 12 questions. And then if a ballot question is approved, then the corresponding numbers in the subsequent pages are how the charter will be changed. So that gives you a good overview. And also, if I could get that TV to work, which I can't, just within the last hour, so Melissa, my administrative assistant, put on the website two things, and it's right on the front page of the website at the news, and then you can get to it from the Board of Selectmen page or the Charter Revision page. And what it is this legal notice, and it's also a complete red line version of the charter, and all the amendments that you see here are put into the charter in red lines. So that's available now on the website. Any discussion about the charter?
You were talking there about the proposed revisions or the legal notice pertaining to the revision?
I beg your pardon.
What did you say was on the town website now?
Well, there's a lot on the town website from past discussions. And we're probably going to clean it up, take some of that off, because people could read the wrong thing, like the stuff that was produced in July, and those have changed, and we've changed things, so there was a back and forth. But what was put on the website tonight is just one page, and it has 2 items on it. It has what you have in your hand, this legal notice, and it also has a complete proposed charter in red line. So the red line, you can see the revisions.
It is in color too, so people can see it. It's good.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on the charter? Okay, next thing, casino. Not much going on in the casino, but Andy and I have talked, and we're putting together a draft, a straw man for the second ordinance. So we, at the next meeting, and I'll send it out before the next meeting to everyone, we'll have a draft for a distribution ordinance. So that we will have 2 ordinances, one that says we'll put the casino impact fund in a separate fund, and the second one will be a way to distribute that money. And it'll go through a process of probably, well, it'll be quite similar to the budget process. The first selectman and the treasurer will put together the requests, and then it'll go to the board of selectmen, and eventually it'll end up on the budget referendum, and it'll be voted on in a line item. That's what we're suggesting. So, but I'll send that out. But so that's what we're working on as a board of selectmen. Any thoughts or comments on that?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment. When I put together the draft, I've done it 2 or 3 times and distributed it. I tried to capture what Jason had said, what I thought, and then Keith Yagloff was a really big help. He put it into a format and added some stuff that I thought was very good. And so submitted it to Bob, and he made some changes, and then we talked, and he sent it back to me, and I made comments, and he now has it. I think it represents the thoughts of what we think it should be over a period of a year or more. So it has been iterative. I think that it's something that has merit and is something that we can all relatively easily agree with.
So I have not seen that draft.
No.
Nor any iteration of it at all. So
You saw the one in November of last year, because I sent it out to everybody, and you commented on it when I sent it to you at that time. I took your comments, I put it into the one that I did in like May or so, and gave it to Bob, and then he said he wanted to hold off until August to take action on the thing. And in the interim, like in June, Keith sent me his thoughts on it, which I thought were darn good. So I incorporated those and gave them back to Bob on July 14. And then he sent me back his version of it, and we talked about it. And now, after all of that, we are.
yeah, I'm just saying, what I put together 2 years ago and what I looked at a year ago, I have no idea what the changes are between those 2 documents and now.
And I understand.
Neither does Charlie very much, or Steve. And I haven't read the comments that Andy gave me back when but what I'll do is, on Monday, I'll send them out. I'll send out where we are, because now, like Andy said, it's iterative, but now it's time that we got everyone involved, and it's a straw man. So what do you think, Jason?
It's
Oh, yeah, wow.
It's got 10-year
This is a-
life.
Hope this doesn't put somebody to sleep or something, or into a trance. Well, why don't we turn the backlights off? Go, you know.
5 more minutes and I'm gonna start blinking like that.
The other one.
That didn't work either, Jim.
Jesus.
All right, perfect. Okay, so we're talking about the casino and the ordinance. Any further discussion? All right. The Hartford Foundation. As you know, the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving has established a $100,000 fund for each of the 29 towns. And there's going to be a meeting on September 10th. So that's very soon. And I put flyers out there. The meeting's going to be a kickoff meeting for this $100,000 fund. And it's going to be held at the South Windsor Library, and the attendees are going to be South Windsor, East Windsor, Somers, Ellington, and Tolland. It's September 10th, as I said. It's from 5:30 till 8, and it's all on the flyer there. Young children are welcome on the flyer too. There's a website that you can access, and there's a phone number you can call also. But the key is tomorrow, September 6th, they would like an RSVP. Now, if you don't make it by then, I guess that's okay. But if you want to get involved in this advisory committee, and the way and that really determines how the funds are going to be distributed. It says the town community funds will be distributed by the Hartford Foundation through an inclusive and participatory process led by an advisory committee made up of town residents that are truly reflective of their town. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that if you can RSVP, do it by tomorrow, and it's going to be in South Windsor on September 10th, this meeting. Any discussion or thoughts about that? Okay. Let's see. Tyler Regional Animal Care Shelter. We're moving ahead with that. Hopefully we'll sign a contract with the 3 other towns involved. And I did do something with that. I heard there's a rumor, and but the rumor was that one of the larger towns was going to leave. That would increase our cost. And Andy's called up the people, and they say they're not going to leave. But it's an interesting exercise. I just said, well, what would happen if they did leave? And what I did, I'm going to write it on the board. So, we have Manchester, and they've had 1,912 dogs. This is for 2018. East Hartford had 1,430. South Windsor had 766, and we had 148. And what they do is they take 53,000, that's the total expenses, 400, and they divide it by the number of dogs, so you have to pay a proportion. And so Manchester is the big one, it's 46%. And so I said, well, and it would turn out that we'd pay, and there's some details here that I'm going to skip over, but right now we're paying For this, we're paying about, well, right now, we're paying about we would pay $1,700 about, $1,700. But if you took away this, you'd end up paying about, well, right now we're paying, our percentage is, this is 40, I said 46. This is right now 35 and 19. If you included us, we would be 3.6%. So we're not very much. And if the big one left, we would go up to 6.3%, which would give us about, we'd end up with, we'd have to pay $3,371 a year. Now, these are so small figures, you can't be too exact. But right now, we here in East Windsor are paying $2,600. So actually, if Manchester stays, we would save money by going to the regional animal care shelter. But in this case, if Manchester left, we would be paying about $1,200 a year more. Now, to get our current animal care shelter up to even a minimum standard, that's not near as good as the regional, we have to pay $61,000 to do that. So $1,200 a year would take us 50 years to get ahead, or even to break even at that rate. So even if Manchester left, we'd come out ahead. So another non-argument solved.
We've talked about this too many times.
Yeah.
We just need to move forward with it. I mean, it's not, we have a place that would have superior care to what we have for the dogs right now. And that's, should be a big consideration.
Oh, absolutely. But it was just, there's been a lot, well, another argument was, well, we don't want to take police out of town, because they have to go out of town to get to the dog care center. Well, it's, I clocked it. The distance from our border to the animal care shelter is 1 minute and 30 seconds. So we take them out of town for 1 minute and 30 seconds. I also clocked from the front door of the police station to the animal control or animal care shelter there in South Windsor, and to our own. 9 minutes either way. So these arguments that were brought up are rather irrelevant.
So let's move forward.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to sign a contract. Paul?
There's work being done on the driveway over there right now.
That's interesting.
Do we have any idea who's going to pay for that?
It's in their budget.
Whose budget? Is that
At
the
the,
Public Works?
Is it
Yeah.
that operating budget?
are you talking about the one in South Windsor?
Yes.
Yeah, the parking lot. It's in their capital budget. They have money to do that.
Isn't it 53,000, I guess?
Is that part of that one?
No,
Or other
No.
money?
no. Each year, they put money out of the $54,000 into a capital fund. That capital fund right now has, what, 38,000 in it? Was it, Charlie?
Yeah.
$38,000 in it now. And they just completed a brand new roof on that building. They took money out of that. So the residual after that, and you're right, they're expanding the parking lot, and they are redoing it, and it's all coming out of their capital fund.
And that was explained to me by Chief Custer back in April, maybe, that they were going to do it this year.
Thank you.
And one other point I'd just like to make very clear. There was question about whether one of the larger towns was going to pull out. That is absolutely not true. I called the animal care supervisors in each one of those towns and spent probably 10 or 15 minutes on the phone with them, and they said that the regional facility was the best thing that happened to their town. That it actually it required less of their police officers' time than it did before, because now they don't have to clean and feed the animals, because that's done in South Windsor. So in reality, it goes to the point that our deputy chief made to me, and that is, he would rather not have his police officers dealing with dogs. They are not trained to do it, number one, and it's a waste of a high price, a person that can do other things than care for dogs. So the bottom line is that the people who manage the activities in East Hartford and Manchester saw this as a benefit even to the police department, because it required less of their time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move forward.
Okay.
And the first thing is to get the contract signed.
Are there collective bargaining issues associated with that?
No.
Did you say, Jason?
I asked if there were collective bargaining issues associated with that.
Animal control officer works 16 hours a week.
Do they have a contract?
I'm not sure.
I'm not either, which is why I'm asking the question
Yeah.
before.
I don't think so. They have a job description.
They probably do have a contract.
Well, maybe they do. Don't know. We'll look into that.
I don't know if they do, but I would be surprised if they didn't.
Yeah, that's probably true. I think they could. I'm not sure where they negotiate. Well, I'm not sure they're negotiating crew.
They're not in the union.
That may be true too.
I know they're not in the union.
Okay. Yeah, wouldn't be in the police, wouldn't be in dispatchers, wouldn't be, so I don't know.
They're part-time.
Yeah,
Part-time doesn't mean not in a union, though.
I understand that.
yeah, but they wouldn't get any benefits. Wouldn't get union benefits like pension and retirement.
Their work obligations could still be, I'm just saying, look into it.
Okay,
They
you can do
be-
that.
They can still have a contract without qualifying for the federal full employment benefits.
I agree. Okay. Any further discussion? Go on to the Warehouse Point Fire District Supplemental Appropriation. And once again, we're going to have to redo this motion, mainly because the last time we did this motion, it says that we would make this fund available to them on July 1st, 2020. So that would be the first day of the next fiscal year. Well, our treasurer, finance director pointed out that it's a part of the general fund. This money, supplemental appropriation, comes from the general fund. And all money from the general fund is returned to the general fund at the end of the fiscal year. So there would be no money there to give them the following day. So we have to change it so they get their money in June of 2020. So, having said that, I'll make a motion. I move to amend the motion previously adopted on August 15th, 2019, at the BOS meeting to restore $232,000 line item for the Warehouse Point Fire District to now read, I move the Board of Selectmen approve a supplementary appropriation of $232,000 for the Warehouse Point Fire District. And if the Warehouse Point Fire District signs a memo of understanding by November 1st, 2019, stating that the $232,000 will be used to reduce their fiscal year 2021 budgeted mill rate, make the $232,000 available to the Warehouse Point Fire District in June 2020, and refer to the Board of Finance.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion.
So, as this is now the third time we've talked about this specific idea, about 8 years ago, the Board of Education tried to prepay health insurance costs. And that, they had a certain, correct me if I'm wrong, Kathy, I get the details of this wrong because I'm misremembering over time, but they had available funding that was available in one fiscal year, and they wanted to pay the costs for it into the next fiscal year. And that, I believe, the end result was...
Something that had been done numerous times and is done, all over the state, but the end result was that the town took that money back. We were not, it came out of our next year's budget, because we'd obviously paid the bill.
And because there was a cost that was incurred in the subsequent year with funds that were available in that current year, the determination was that we would not prepay our expenses. The total nut of that was,
$232,000.
really,
Yep.
to the, I did not know that.
325. You sure?
It
Well,
was-
232 or 325.
It was
a lot of money.
It was an amount comparable to this. So it seems again that we're still trying to prepay a bill when there's an entire budget cycle between now and then. And this could be done through, as we've tried to do, through the budget process. So this seems like another backdoor around the budget process and the provisions in the charter that say how we're supposed to spend our money.
Thank you. Further discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote on whether to give the Rouse Point Fire District the $232,000 or not.
Well, a question, Bob.
Go ahead.
Shouldn't we clarify that before we vote? That question? Is it something?
This was approved by our finance director, and in fact, she pointed it out.
All
We
right.
can give them the money. There's
Okay.
no question about that.
Okay.
Jason's talking about money that was for the school 8 years ago, and he's trying to change what the finance director says or make it confusing. I'm not sure what he's trying to do, but if we pass this, I'm not sure what you're trying to do, but if we pass this, the Board of Finance can not give the Warehouse Point the money, or they can, it's up to them. But I firmly believe that half the residents of this town deserve this money to make their contribution to the fire funding equitable. And I'd like to see this occur.
And what happens next year, and the year after that, and the year after that? This is not fixing the problem. The problem that they have is the result of a jurisdictional line. They need to either expand their jurisdictional line to cover the corporate limits of the town, or disband the jurisdictional line and come back into the budget like they were for 40 years before this circumstance occurred. This is nothing more than passing the buck to the next subsequent budget years. This isn't fixing anything.
Thank you, Jason. I'm sure that you would find people that disagree with you.
I'm sure I would.
Okay.
But it's a $250,000 Band-Aid that we're gonna have to then revisit every year in perpetuity.
Until we
or
fixed
not.
it, we fix it. It's up to us, the Board of Selectmen, the voters of this town, to fix this problem. It's a major problem. And to say, we're going to ignore it is foolish, in my opinion.
I'm not saying ignore it. I'm saying that the remedies that are available are not this.
Okay,
This is a workaround around the budget process and the will of the voters.
all right. We have a difference of opinion, that's why we vote.
3-1.
Andy?
Jason's right. This is a Band-Aid for a year. But we have to fix the basic problem. We all talked about that. Charlie spearheaded an activity this past 2 years to try to get the two fire departments to act as one so that they could be funded as one. And as Steve has said, on a continuing basis, we should have a town fire department. Someplace in between those two is the correct answer. But for this year, I agree. I don't think that people in Warehouse Point should be penalized for living in Warehouse Point. And I'm going to vote for this, but it is not the answer. This guy's right, it is not the answer.
I totally agree. This is not the answer. It's just a Band-Aid, but
It's a Band-Aid.
at least it helps the people at this time, and it's up to us to fix it.
You know, we're
Chris Paul Anderson.
we're leaving, you know, we, the board that is ending our term in October, is leaving a turd in the punch bowl for the next group of people who take over our chairs. And that's too bad, because Charlie put a lot of time into this thing, and so did I, and so did you, trying to make this happen. I'm not sure how it's going to play out. But at some point in time, the town's got to say, enough's enough. We're going to have a town fire department, we're going to hire a chief, and all the chiefs that we have today are going to be captains or whatever the right answer is. But you know, $250,000 a year forever is the wrong answer.
Well, actually,
I'll get off my soapbox.
okay.
Now, thinking about that, if we pass this tonight, and the Board of Finance passes it, and the town meeting passes it, and it's not funded next year, and the circumstance is not remedied next year, this effectively becomes a $250,000 hit to those residents in that district. All we're doing is shuffling the cards here.
If we remedy it next year, yeah.
We've had
By
4
making,
years
if
of
you,
that.
I guess sorry, I interrupted
I
you.
mean, we're no closer now than we were 4 years ago.
Well, I think we are.
Well, where's the presentation?
Okay.
I think we are.
I think
that
you've
there are a lot of dialogue.
got to be recognized. I don't want to back and forth on this
Okay.
committee.
I think,
Okay,
I
yes.
think we are closer. We're not done with trying to consolidate it into one fire department. It's going to take some more time. And I think we need to absolutely do this to help those residents in that fire district from what they're paying on this short-term basis. We need to work hard to fix the problem for the future.
Okay. Any further comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Aye. All those opposed?
No? For the third time.
Okay.
Let's talk about it
Right,
in
like,
2 weeks.
you're right.
New business. Farm leases, we talked about that we're going to wait till the middle of, well, wait till after next week to put out the RFP. And
Bob, I'd like to comment.
go ahead.
That RFQ, I read through that thing. That's a magnificent document. I've bid on $100 million space contracts with almost less encumbrance than that damn thing gives you. That's a tough
Yeah,
tough RFQ.
well, I'll be interested to hear what the Agricultural Commission says.
It's really complete.
Yeah. And you can thank Amanda for that, because she got a lot of them together, and that's what she came up with. But we'll see. I'd be interested in what the Agricultural Department says. Okay, and then one more thing, that we can have a general meeting. The charter asks to have a general meeting every year. We haven't had one in 2019. And sometimes we have it, and we'll have a person come and speak. And this general meeting is for all the boards and commissions to get together and with some department heads. And we have, sometimes we have a speaker like with Robert's Rules or GIS or Freedom of Information. So my question is, should we have it, and if we, or we could, the thing that the boards and commissions might change a little, although not too much, we could have it September 26th, or we could not have it and let the new boards have it after the election. Any thoughts?
What did we do last year?
I don't know what we did last year. And I don't recall we had a speaker. I think we just got together, we had sandwiches or something like that and talked.
Well, my suggestion would be waiting until after the election and having a freedom of information presentation. That's something that too often people misunderstand, and it's an important part of transparency in government. So it's a good time to do that with a fresh crop of people.
Okay, and that's why I brought it up. Any further discussion? So I don't think we have to vote on it. I just won't do it unless people are feel a strong feeling. Okay, good. So we've got through a long agenda pretty quickly.
Which goes to show you Steve's the problem.
Oh, here's the checks. So now, Selectmen comments and reports. Andy.
There was no Economic Development Commission meeting in the month of August. There's never one scheduled. There is one scheduled for September. As I said before, they're down to a very few people. I think they have three members on the commission. That doesn't mean they can't hold a meeting, but it makes it more difficult. There are some things that are happening. The International Brotherhood of Electricians are building 2 new buildings at 20 Craftsman Road near Sustainable Building Systems over in the industrial park. One is an office building and the other is going to be a training facility. They're working right along on them. They've run a lot of steel and they're doing some grading. The foundations are all in. So I think that's going to look like a building in a month or two. Calmar, they're working steadily on that, although slower than I thought they were going to. They have garages built in the rear. I drove in there one day and I talked to one of the people, and they said they were building the garages first so that they could put equipment in the garages for safekeeping, which makes some good sense. So that project is in fact moving forward. I did not talk to anybody who was able to talk about schedules or what their completion dates or what their milestones were. But that's why they're building the garages first. And I talked to Ruben today, and he said he's getting a substantial number of commercial and residential inquiries that are coming through his office. And he's encouraged by the traffic. And I told him that I did not want to delve into those because I didn't want to be responsible for information that might hurt us acquiring these companies that are showing interest. But he said some of them he thinks are legitimately interested in building facilities here in the town of East Windsor. That's a good sign.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Just along with the economic developments, I have heard from the sub-site developers for EDC, and so they're going to move forward. So we're making progress on that too. So that's a good thing. Okay, Jason.
On August 24th, I attended a fundraiser at Shagbark Farm on Harrington Road. They have recently incorporated themselves as a nonprofit and provide access to horseback riding opportunities for people from all walks of life, regardless of means. They hadn't heard about many of the different ways that the town can support agriculture, which to me is an area that we could improve upon in terms of outreach to that constituency. I did sit with them for a while and talk about some of the opportunities within town government and within state government to be supportive of agriculture. They also had a trailer from Alex's Army, which was set up like a teenager's bedroom. They were showcasing all of the ways that drugs can be hidden in a bedroom, which really hit home to me about the need to be diligent and involved to help steer children away from terrible dangers that the world now presents. And I was thinking to myself, my son's 5 months old, but it's not going to be too long before I have to start looking for where he's hiding things or where he may be hiding things, and that's a scary prospect.
Childproofing the house would be a good start.
That's actually coming up in the next couple of weekends. He's pretty close to mobile. On August 27th, I participated in a blood drive that was held at Scout Hall. One of the biggest challenges that I've had over time in terms of being a more regular donor is the convenience factor. And I thought that the event that was held at Scout Hall was convenient, it was quick and efficient, and it was good to see a number of community folks there supporting the event. I had a phone call from somebody who was interested in determining whether the town would be interested in entering into a power purchasing agreement, which was an interesting idea and something that I think we ought to consider.
Well, before you go too far, we have one that we're working on now.
We are?
Yeah.
With whom?
Don't remember. But I'll describe it. The way in a lot of solar power companies are trying to sell the power because that's what they can do for, I guess, agriculture and municipal. And so the company, the name escapes me, but they're on our tax rolls. They're the ones that built the solar farm in NorCap, and they're selling the power to South Windsor and from there. But we went to tax them, and they said, well, we could sell you power at a reduced rate, which would save us, and we're still going to tax them, but we're trying to get a pilot worked out. But we gave them all the power we used around the town, and they picked out the major ones. Police department, town hall, the street lights, the school systems, and so that's all booked up now if this goes through. And they have to get approval by the state, I guess, to do it. But they're in the fund that's available to them. So we haven't confirmed that yet. It's not there, but we don't have any power left to sell anybody, basically, or to buy power from.
So what's the timeline on that?
It could happen tomorrow, but it probably won't happen for it could happen in 2 weeks, it could happen in a month. It's up to the state when they get that approval to sell us power. And they're producing power in another area that they would like to sell us.
So what that would do, and the reason why we should enter into a PPA is because it would allow for much more stability in terms of budgeting our electric costs.
Or reduce it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. Tonight I attended the Popsicles with Principals event that was held at Broderick Elementary School. It was a really cool welcome back to school event, and it was packed. It was great to see so many young families turn out and members of the school faculty who were there to host the event. And I was glad to see that we finally put out a notice about the farm building exemption ordinance. That was great. Nice to see that. It would have been helpful if that was probably in time for this season, but I'm glad that people are knowing that we put that policy in place. So that's all I have.
Oh, that's a lot.
That's a short one.
Okay. Charlie?
Okay. I think you other members here received an email letter from Abid Akhtar from Trombley Road regarding the construction on that road, and I had sent you a note, Bob. We could discuss this and how we can get back to him as to, is there a remedy? Is it just a standard thing that happens when they take out the road and, resurfacing it? I'm sure that this has happened other places. I know that there's been situations where dust was created and, they held a contractor responsible when houses got soiled from all the dust. Do you know anything more about that?
I don't. I could call up Lenny, but in a sense I do too, because what they did to Trombley Road, they also did to Wells Road. And at least the part from Winkler to Mahoney. And I drive that every day. So I drove through the same So the conditions that that gentleman described in that letter, I agree with completely. He described the situation correctly. I don't know the remedy.
So can you talk with Lenny then?
Sure.
And that we could, would you respond back to this individual as to, what it is, or we can or can't do?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it's happened before.
What was unusual, because what he said in the letter too, is this company is putting down, not for a base, it has dirt in it, in a sense, or it also has gravel in it, but it has dirt in it too, so it gets dusty. So I don't know.
I think Lenny had told me a while back that they had that situation on another road, and the contractor had to do something.
Well, we'll check into it then.
Okay,
Yeah.
we could do that. The other thing, talking about solar farms as such, that I had been approached by a farmer who rents land that's in East Windsor, and that they were approached by a company that said that they were going to, their intention is to put a massive solar farm on the Norton property. And, but in checking into some things, I don't see that that has had any site work or anything, but they did have a printout of what the plan would look like, and I meant to bring that with me to distribute it to you guys tonight, but I forgot it on my way out the door. But they seem to be moving along, but the other company did as well, and that kind of fell apart. So I don't know what that means or doesn't mean at this point. Just, I think, just as a heads up, is.
Charlie, what makes you think it's not just talk? Is there? Do you have any?
Yeah, I have a scale printout of where the panels would be and how many there were and so forth, and it's quite extensive. So they've spent some time, some money doing that so far.
They have not come to the planning and zoning.
No, they haven't come to anything here in town.
Have they submitted a petition to the siting council?
Don't know.
So that's the state venue that you need to go
Yeah.
through for citing of those things?
And we don't have a lot of say as far as zoning goes, over
Zero.
what happens. Yeah, it's a siting council.
That's true.
And that's too bad. And what the regulations say, I think if they produce more than 5 megawatts, then we can tax. If they produce less, then there's some question of whether we can even tax for their property, which would be the solar panels.
That other company that came before us, that if my memory is right, that what their plan was to have these separate, I'll call them grids for not knowing a better term for it, so it would reduce the amount, and so that they wouldn't be taxed, rather than it's, generating, making up a number, 100 megawatts. Instead, it was 5, by each one individually. So I think we've got to be careful what that's about as well.
Yeah, right.
I don't know, just as an amateur, it didn't seem like their concept was very well thought out. It had a lot of switching requirements, it had a lot of transmission requirements between pods and all that kind of thing. It sounded, from an amateur standpoint, like a pretty complex solution to a not complex problem.
Yeah, I think those people that, you talk about the ones that came before us here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, those were really venture capitalists.
Yeah, they were.
And that they really weren't the people that are going to do this or anything else. They're just the money. If they could get approvals, then they have the money in the mattress to go.
It's just their concept didn't seem technically very sound to me anyway.
No. The other thing, I got a call from someone that said that the Sardelli situation in East Windsor is not over. Is that correct? Are they not going to where they said they were going to go, and they're still interested in East Windsor? Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't heard that they're re-interested in East Windsor. The last I heard, and I heard that not from him, probably I should call up Don Sardelli and see, was from Jay Ursery, from J.R. Russo.
Yeah.
And he said that he came and talked to me and kind of was a spokesman for Sardilli. And he told me then that Sardilli was going to buy a building in Windsor. And that's the last I heard.
But the building, I guess, is an old building, what I understand, and the amount of money.
Camera place, Malta.
Okay.
Okay.
To
I haven't heard, but
Yeah,
So I don't know.
maybe if you could reach out to them and
I will.
see, that we have some opportunity here to have this
Sure.
thing come back, under our
yeah,
tax
it'd be a
umbrella.
great thing, yeah.
Okay.
You know, if there is a thread of hope there, we should try to do something that we didn't do before. I talked to Ruben about it several times. Was there anything we could do to hasten what the Department of Transportation wasn't doing? And he kept saying that he thought the best tack was to not get involved because they would not take kindly to that. But
Well-
if there is a thread of hope there, if someone, out of your office, you, for example, were to go down and talk to the Department of Transportation.
I did one time.
I'm sure about it.
But
my point is,
but maybe somebody like Anwar.
yeah,
like
Dr. Anwar.
if the hangup was
Yeah.
road work and, and that intersection, then maybe we could get some help.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll give him a call.
And even consider, somebody like Dr. Anwar and Chris Davis.
Mhm.
I've got less than a year's worth of experience with Dr. Anwar and probably a year and a half's worth of experience with Chris Davis, but I found both of those people very receptive to trying to help the town of East Windsor.
Right.
That's all I have.
Mentioned Carol Hall there too. Carol Hall is also a representative. She'll help
I
too.
have not met her and have not had anything to do with her.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all.
That's good. And I don't have anything, so, Jason, would you like to make a motion?
I move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Are we going to do the,
No executive session. Oh, no, we forgot, you're right. I skipped over tax approval. So, would somebody make a,
Motion to adjourn.
taxes? Make a motion?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve the tax refunds in the amount of $3,312.21.
second?
Okay, all those in favor? Now, Jason.
I move to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Yes, I heard that.
The people that are there now, people that are handling it now, good. They're very good. They have a good reputation.
Yeah, I only talked to a worker, guy, it wasn't driving